Hello and welcome to the Ubisoft E3 press conference post-mortem. I'm your host Cheeky Devlin, and joining me this evening we have Peds. Peds, say hello.
Hello.
And for the first time we've got Orange Raccoon. Raccoon, say hello, man.
Hello, good evening.
Great to have you here, man. It's you've been with us in the forum for a while now, so it's good to get you involved in something. So definitely.
Yeah, thank you very much.
No, not at all. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. So yeah, just gonna dive right in because there's a decent amount to talk about. I think with the Ubisoft show here. So we're gonna dive straight on in. With something I wasn't really expecting to see much of at this show, which was Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle on the Switch. I was kind of expecting this to be held over as part of Nintendo's show tomorrow, but no, Ubisoft kind of did a good 10-15 minutes on this, so that was a nice surprise. I was pleasantly surprised. I kind of went into this expecting it to be, another Rabbids game that I would have absolutely no interest in, but in the end what we got was like XCOM with Mario characters, which I didn't know at the time, but it is something I want in my life, so I'm definitely interested in this. Peds, man, what did you think?
I was, like you, pleasantly surprised. I expected it to be something that would be completely rubbish, but when they showed it and then they showed the gameplay, I was like, yeah, I actually do like the look of this. I'm going to get this for my Switch straight away, because I actually liked it. And it actually looked like pretty cool, the stuff you could do to maneuver, like where you go through the pipe and hit an enemy, jump on someone, and the actual gameplay seemed pretty cool, and it seemed it's weird seeing Mario with a gun, but at the same time, it's all a bit of fun, and it didn't seem to be like that you were killing the Rabbids, you were shooting them and they teleport or something, so it kind of fits with it. But I thought it looked pretty good. Hopefully we'll see more, so I can have a more of a look into it and see what I think coming up close to the release. But so far, I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, like I said, a pleasant surprise that it turned out the way it did. There was a couple of things I quite liked about it. I liked the fact that Rabid Peach was quite disturbing looking in so many ways. It just didn't look right. It was, but obviously that's intentional. So I quite liked that. And it was so weird though when they were doing the demonstration of it, and they went, "Oh, and Rabid Luigi's going to go and get this guy." And I was like, "What?" It makes it sound like Luigi's got rabies or something. It was really, really strange, but yeah, definitely a lot better looking than I expected, and I'm actually looking forward to it now. So yeah, I mean, Raccoon, what did you think, man?
Yeah, so I wasn't sure we were going to see this at all in the conference. I thought it would be something held back for Nintendo, and obviously it had been leaked beforehand, so we all knew it was coming. But
Yeah.
I definitely didn't expect it to lead and be their opening game. And it was especially great, for E3, the spectacle, seeing them get Miyamoto down and walk in. I think that surprised everyone. And it was, he came in with his gun in hand from the game, kind of reminiscent of previous E3 appearances when he's walked in with the Master Sword. So I thought that was great to see.
Yeah, no, I did like that bit. I did feel it dragged on just a little bit too long before they actually started kind of talking about the game. It was a bit of a Nintendo Ubisoft love-in for about 5 minutes, but it was really good. And I liked, when him and Eve came over talking to each other. It was like, what did I said to myself, it's like accent again, because it's just this really kind of strong Japanese accent talking English, and then this really strong French accent talking English, and it was kind of all over the place. But yeah, it was really good, and I think when they showed the actual game director sitting in the audience, it looked like he was crying.
He looked incredibly emotional. I mean, I don't blame him, to be honest. But,
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, Miyamoto comes out and to help launch your game. That's a big thing. So yeah, but it does seem, Ubisoft continuing their historic support for Nintendo consoles, so it's good to see them doing that, and with a game that looks really, really good as well. So
yeah, the game itself, I wasn't sold on the idea when it first got leaked, but I think they've done a lot to just completely blow away my fears there. It looks like a really well-made game. Like they've got I think they've pitched it perfectly in the tone of the game, and it seems
Yeah.
to be full of a lot of quirky, fun details that suit both Mario and the Rabbids. So yeah, they seem to have done a really good job on it, and I'm just hoping the gameplay impressions will be as good as how it's looking from the conference.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think we can probably expect to see some more of that in the next few days. Once the show floor opens and the various websites and so on get a chance to go out in there and actually have a shot of the game. I expect we'll get some more helpful feedback on it at that point. But yeah, right now I think it's looking really good, and yeah, I'm surprised to be saying that I'm planning on getting that day one. So yeah. And then they did a bit of an odd section here. They kind of moved on to Assassin's Creed, where they didn't really show anything other than some slightly iffy footage of a guy playing on a screen outside in the sun, and then went, "Oh yeah, we're going to show you more later." It's like, well, why bother? Why not just show us it now? So that seemed a bit odd, but we've kind of covered the Assassin's Creed game more in the Xbox conference, but
Yeah, I mean, they obviously.
what are your guys' impressions of it so far, Rukin?
So I've kind of not been that into the Assassin's Creed games. I've only really played 2 properly. Like that's the only one I've owned. And I've played the first one, and I haven't really played the series since. I'm not sure this game is going to actually make me want to buy it and jump into the series as a non-fan. But I do like that it looks like they are not just putting out the same game again. It looks to have these new like RPG elements. I guess you've spoken about this stuff already. But yeah, it does look interesting. I think I'm remaining to be convinced.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what I've seen, it does look like it is adding some new elements to it. It is still very much Assassin's Creed, and in a lot of ways, if you're not a fan, I don't really see it convincing you. Kind of as you said there. So yeah, I mean, and Ped, just briefly, what's your thoughts on Assassin's Creed?
To me, it's like I can see Orange saying that that it seems a bit different to him, but to me it just looks like the same old, same old. It's got a couple of added features, but when you've played all Bar Syndicate, they kind of get very samey. So I don't know what I think about it, because it has been a few years since I played one. But at the same time, it's like, do I really want to go back to that series when it's fundamentally the same game?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and I said this in the kind of EA one. That said that while there are some new elements to it, given the fact that they've had a break of 2 years since the last one that they released, I would probably have expected to see more of a change than they have done. That's not to say it doesn't look good. I mean, I actually quite like the Assassin's Creed game, so I'm still definitely interested in it. But it's not day one for me at this point. I'll see when it's cheap
I like
at some
it
point.
myself as well. I've played all Bar Syndicate. It's just you get to a point where like you've got Mario games and each one is so different to the last. Apart from Galaxy 1 and 2, and even then there was differences. But then when you've got Assassin's Creed, it's like the first game had the best assassinations in my opinion. Because they weren't all scripted. And then the second one then it upped the game in every other respect, but took a back seat on the assassinations because scripted nature. And then they take things from the game, tried to streamline it, make it easier for people without fingers to play. It seems like they tried to improve on certain things, and then they take a couple of steps back at the same time. And hopefully with this one, they've learned to iterate on the previous ones instead of going back a bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely still a wait and see for Assassin's Creed this year. But like I said, I mean, it doesn't look bad. It just looks like more Assassin's Creed with a couple of new bits added to it. So yeah, that was a bit odd. But like I said, they did say that they were going to do more footage, in their own kind of thing after the main conference. So we'll take a look at that. In our own time at some point.
Do you think we'll see even more of it at Sony's conference, or do you think that's the last conference it will appear at?
I think that's probably the last one it's going to appear at. I think Microsoft gave it a kind of hands-on and a bit of a demo, and I think from what I can see, they've they used it to kind of push, the Xbox One X. So I don't think we'll see any more of it at Sony. But you never know. You never know. The chances are, I think it will be, if it's going to be shown, it's going to be in a kind of brief montage of things that are
Enjoying a
coming.
sizzle reel or
Yeah,
something.
like a sizzle reel or something. Yeah. I think that's the most we're going to see of it. But so that kind of rolled over into The Crew 2, which was pleasantly surprised by. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the first game. I played the demo and or the beta, or I can't remember. I think it was the beta, and it seemed okay, but it didn't do anything for me in terms of making me want to buy it. Whereas this, looks a lot more interesting. Simply because you do have, the kind of, air, land, and sea vehicles. You can go. There's far more kind of focus on things like off-roading and boats and stunt planes and stuff. So it certainly seems like they've almost taken The Crew and mixed it with Steep slightly, to give you these different types of extreme motorsports almost.
Yeah, I definitely got that Steep vibe when I saw it transitioning between the motorsports and then aeroplanes. It definitely seemed like they've gone more that way. The Crew is not a game that I played originally, so I'm not really I'm very unaware of what the first game was like. So I wasn't really sure how much of that is an expansion of the original. But I'm guessing the aeroplanes and flying is all new.
From what I can tell, the air stuff and the boats is all brand new, and I think the kind of off-road vehicles is kind of more is new as well. I don't think they had that in the original one. The original one was more, kind of, driving across America, and yeah, you could go off the road, but you're still just on your like normal kind of road vehicles, from what I'm aware of. But yeah, certainly I thought that looked pretty good. I don't necessarily see myself buying it, but yeah, I think if you're a fan of that kind of game, then it looked like something interesting. In fact, even especially the kind of off-road stuff actually kind of gave me kind of MotorStorm vibes. So I'm wondering if maybe some of the guys that are, fans of the MotorStorm games will kind of get on board with that kind of aspect of it. So yeah, I mean, Peds, I know you said you weren't particularly interested in it. What do you think of it?
I think for a racing fan or motorsport fan, it's something to keep an eye on, because it is going to be interesting when you go from just cars to various other sports, like whatever they're called. But I'm not a massive fan of racing games anyway. It's like I enjoyed Forza Horizon 3 to a point, but I stopped playing it. I enjoyed Drive Club, but that was mainly because of Drive Club Sundays, where we'd all get together and play online. I suppose the same could happen with The Crew, but I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea, really. But like I said, if you're into that sort of game, then I can see it being something you should keep your eye on, because it looks more interesting than your usual racing games.
Yeah, and I think I'd probably side exactly with Peds on that, in that I'm also not much of a racing fan, and that's why the game wasn't that interesting to me. It looks like a well-made and good game. Like, nothing there looked bad about it, but it's just not the kind of game that interests me. But I'm sure for other people, they'll find a lot more there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it will find its audience, and I think it's probably the game that I don't think it's going to change the world, but I think it's going to get itself a small dedicated following, to keep it going. So, and for those people, great, go ahead. I think you'll enjoy that. And then they showed a trailer for South Park, Fractured But Whole. I thought they were maybe going to show more of it, but at the end of the day, I think they've already shown everything they need to of that game. I think everybody knows what it is, they know how it's going to play, and at this point I think it was really just, this is us confirming the release date, which they have down as October 17th now. I still think it looks awesome. I was a huge fan of Stick of Truth, mostly because I'm a massive South Park fan, and this looks like more of what I want from that game, so looking forward to that. What about you, Rickon? You a South Park fan?
I am a South Park fan. I haven't yet played the first game they did, although I do keep meaning to, because it does look genuinely funny. As you, I think all they really had to do this E3 was give us a release date, which is what they've done. They didn't really need to sell anyone on the game, because they've already done that, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And Peds, I know you were a fan of the first one, weren't you?
It's another game that unfortunately I haven't finished. But the problem is like it's such a good game. It deserves to be finished. It really does.
It's not even
It's not
that long.
It's not like I stopped playing. It's not. Oh, I'm bored. I like it. Oh, I don't like it. You know, it was literally like something else came along that was new, and I started playing that, and then got sidetracked. So that's the problem with me. But I think the reason why it was such a short showing this year is because of the showing they did last year. They had like a 10-minute section with
Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
Matt Stone and Trey Park. I can remember, yeah. So I think that's why it was short. But like Raccoon said, they just needed to show a release date, and they did do that, and that's all we need.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think they did everything they needed to do with South Park there. You know, nobody who was going to get it, you know, needed to see more. They'd already made their minds up, and if you weren't going to get it, then you know that trailer was never going to change your mind anyway. So yeah, really good to see that. And then they moved on to, I think, what was their only VR kind of offering of the whole show, which was Transference, which is where Frodo Baggins made a VR game, which looked messed up, but pretty cool. I mean, from what I can tell, it looks almost like it's like an FMV. You know, it's almost like one of those old FMV games.
Yeah, the trailer was quite confusing. I mean, I'm not really sure what the game is, even after watching that reveal. So I don't have a VR headset, so it's nothing that's of immediate interest to me. But it looked intriguing, but I don't really know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the impression that I got from the trailer, and it was a very odd trailer, is that it's almost like you're going to put on the headset and then you're going to experience something that somebody else did, which makes me believe that it's going to be FMV, but it's going to be obviously like 3D, and that weird shit's going to happen. And and I like stuff where weird shit happens. Although I also get the impression it's going to be scary, and that immediately kind of puts a damper on it for me. Especially because VR scary is just like so far away from what I'm ever planning on doing. So yeah, I mean, but definitely one I'd be interested to see more of. What about you, Peds? Did Frodo sell you on that?
I thought it looked interesting. It was a bit confusing in the sense of you don't really know what you're getting from it. But I think, to be honest, it came across as intentionally vague.
Yeah, I think it was meant to be, yeah.
Because it seems like it's meant to be your experience in someone else's emotion, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's something that if I had a VR headset that I would definitely look into. But I haven't, so I won't.
Well, that's currently slated for a spring 2018 release.
Maybe I'll have one by then.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll hopefully have one by then. So, depending on my mood when it comes out, I'll maybe get it.
And I think Peds is right there. He's saying if you've got a VR headset, you're probably going to be interested in seeing more of it. But I doubt it's going to be a VR seller.
Yeah, I mean, on its own, it's not gonna sell any hardware. I don't think. I think it's going to be part of the overall kind of library that you look at when you're making your decision.
Yeah, sure.
And it's going to say, well, look at all these games. Games you maybe go, well, that's interesting on its own, but it's not enough to sell it. But as a part of a broader library, it's all moving towards that. So yeah, really quite interested to see more of that. And that brings us on to what was, I think, the first real surprise of the show, which was Skull and Bones, which is from the team who did the naval aspects and naval elements of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I thought that looked really good. It's like they've just taken that naval combat and those naval elements and built like a game around it, so which you can play. I think they said it's a shared world, but you can play solo or co-op with mates. Yeah, I was really quite interested in that. Raccoon Man, what was your kind of thoughts on it?
Yeah, again, it looks really good. The thing that immediately hit me was having watched the Microsoft conference and seeing Sea of Thieves being shown off, and there's a clear similarity between these two games.
Yes.
I mean, they're two pirate co-op online games, right? Which is, interesting if they've just been independently existing, is that these two things have just happened together. But yeah, this is definitely obviously built on the previous Assassin's Creed naval combat, which again I haven't played because, as I said, I haven't played any other of the Assassin's Creed games other than 2.
Yeah.
But I know it's highly rated and often said to be one of the best parts of the Assassin's Creed games it featured in. So yeah, I was impressed by the trailer, and I would definitely want to see more of that game.
Yeah, I mean, Black Flag, especially coming after Assassin's Creed 3, was a fantastic game, and the whole naval aspect of it was a big part of that, because it really sold that that kind of pirate fantasy. You can go anywhere and do stuff. The only thing that I kind of look at this and I wonder is there more to it than just naval stuff? Is there? I mean, the one point where I thought we would maybe see something that wasn't just ships was when they did the boarding action on another ship. I thought, all right, well, maybe we're going to jump across and you get to do a bit of hand-to-hand sword fighting. But then it just cut back to the ship again, and it was, I'm boarding successful. So I'm wondering if there is going to be that aspect to it, and I hope there is, because it doesn't need to be like a full Assassin's Creed style game with all these on land stuff you can do. But it would be nice to be able to actually go and fight the boarding yourself, or go and attack a town and then get out at the town and pillage and all that stuff.
Yes,
so yeah.
I think it will be compared against Sea of Thieves, for better or worse. I don't know if they will be at that similar when they actually come out, but when you look at the Sea of Thieves trailer, that showed not only ship-to-ship combat, but also diving underwater, retrieving loot, going onto land while someone stayed back on the ship. And yeah, I do wonder if this will have similar content again, or if it will be a lot more focus on the large-scale ship battles, which it seemed to be doing more of.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly kind of focused. I mean, Sea of Thieves, just talking about that briefly, Sea of Thieves, it seems you're very much focused on each individual pirate, and then what they go and do, so they can take control of the ship, they can jump off and do this, they can go and get some treasure. Whereas this seemed far more focused on you're controlling the ship more than you are any one person. But yeah, Peds, what are you thinking about Skull and Bones?
It looks good. I'll admit that. The only problem is for a lot of people, not myself, because I haven't really thought about it that much, is single player content. Because it's an online game, is there going to be enough to keep people interested who enjoyed the single player experiences? Is it going to be stuff with land? Is it going to, one of the great things in Assassin's Creed, as you were saying, was when you're jumping across on your boat and once you've boarded someone and you're actually taking people out on there. Is that going to be there? Because it didn't look like it from the trailer, as you said. It just said ship boarded, and that's not exactly great. But for me personally, I can see myself getting it because it looks interesting. The naval combat was probably the best part of Assassin's Creed 4, and to do it with a bunch of people from the forums, that's the G Arcade forums, if anyone's wondering, then I can see it being a lot of fun. Because we played games and we had a lot of fun on other games, but taking down a lot of pirate ships, I could see that being brilliant. I really could. Yeah,
I mean, it looks like it could be a lot of fun in multiplayer. And obviously, I'd like to see what other modes and so on that they've kind of got for the game. To see if it is possible. Just you're going from point to point doing something, you maybe encounter somebody else out there while you're doing it, and you can just go, what, I'm going to go and sink them or whatever. So I hope there is some kind of more to it than more modes to it as well, which I'm sure there will be. But and the only other thing that I want to kind of add on to that was Krakens. Yes, please. That looked awesome.
Yes, definitely. +1 on the Krakens.
Definitely. But so Skull and Bones, that's coming out fall 2018, so that'll be autumn for the rest of us. Looking good, definitely interested in it. And then after that, they had their usual dance off with Just Dance 2018. Yawn, not for
what
me.
What more to say?
Yeah.
They had a dancing panda this year.
Yeah, I did like the panda.
Yeah, they had a dancing panda. That was when the dubstep kicked in, I think. That game's not for me. So, does anybody have anything they want to say about Just Dance?
Other than I enjoyed the spectacle of terrible, sort of cringy dancing on stage, I don't think it would be E3 without it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a Ubisoft E3 show without some Just Dance, and to be fair, I don't mind it being there. It is kind of, they know it's cheesy, they know it's silly, they know that the people watching don't really care, but it's a bit of a laugh, and they are a bit. I like that Ubisoft are able to kind of move with that, and that's fine because it only it was 2 minutes, 3 minutes at most, and then they moved on to other things. Speaking of which, they moved on to another South Park game, which was quite a surprise. That's South Park Phone Destroyer, which will be out in 2017, which just looks like a bit of a throwaway kind of mobile phone tactical combat game. So that could be quite interesting, again, if you like South Park. So I'll be looking forward to seeing more of that.
Yeah, it looked alright as mobile games go. I mean, it definitely looked to be made with a good amount of polish and respect for South Park. I'm not sure I'd be playing it myself. I don't really play that much on mobile. If it came to something like Switch or another handheld, then I'd have more chance of playing it, but I don't know if it would do.
Yeah, no, definitely. Looks good fun. But yeah, like I said, it's a throwaway phone game. It's the kind of thing I'll download, maybe play for a couple of days, and then forget I've even got. So yeah. What about you, Peds? Would you spend any time destroying your phone in Phone Destroyer?
I certainly have a look at it. Like, I've had a look at other mobile games like the Fire Emblem Heroes and Super Mario Run, but it looked the combat in it looked like Stick of Truth. So if there's like a little story to it as well, then that'd be cool. Like a little offshoot of just something quick, like an hour-long game. That would be cool with me.
Yeah, I mean, just something you can play in wee bursts, I think, will be quite interesting. So yeah, that's coming out later on this year at some point. And one thing I will say so far has been a disappointing lack of, dates. I think the only thing that they've given a date to up to this point in the conference is Mario and Rabbids. Everything else, I think, is kind of waiting for a date, or is a kind of general time. So, but I do think they give a couple more as it goes on. It's just there's a lot of stuff that's quite off in the distance with Ubisoft this time. Anyway, moving on. They then showed Starlink for the Xbox One, PS4, and Switch, which is also coming in fall 2018. I just wish we'd seen more of what the actual game was with it. I mean, I like the whole, toys to life idea, and modular ships. Yeah, that could be quite interesting. But I don't. I looked at it and I couldn't tell what was meant to be a trailer and what was actual gameplay. I mean, did any of you guys see anything that you thought looked like an actual game in that?
Sorry, Peds, go on.
I was going to say, I assumed the only bit that was gameplay was near the end, where it was showing like ships flying at like weird little creatures.
Yeah, possibly.
Big creatures who were bigger than the ship. But I think that was gameplay, and maybe I don't know. It was hard to tell because I think with the visual style as well. At least with some games, because they have a certain graphical style, you can see the difference between the CG and then the
gameplay. Yeah,
the gameplay with that.
Obviously, yeah.
You couldn't really tell, so I'm not sure. But the game looked alright, I suppose. But I can see having your spaceship on your pad being really cumbersome. It just looks awkward.
Yeah, well, I suppose it depends how they implement it, and see if it is going to be kind of like an amiibo where you can just tap it and then put it to the side, or if you do have to, for whatever reason, hold it there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. I mean, I've never went into any of these that kind of genre of what's it called, toys to life kind of genre.
Yeah.
I've never played any of them. I've never got involved in them because I know that they're a money sink. And I've got other things I'd rather spend my money on. So
yeah.
So it didn't really do anything for me. But again, if you like those kind of games, or you've got kids who like those kind of games, then yeah, absolutely, it's probably going to be one to maybe keep an eye on. What about you, Rukun? What did you think of it?
So yeah, again, I think I was left a little confused as to what the actual game was, and what was just the CG. To begin with, I was getting actually quite a No Man's Sky kind of vibe. I think that was from the visuals. It had that kind of same kind of the look to it, and then suddenly it was showing the ship being configured and someone switching in the parts on their controller, and I suddenly was thinking, hey, this looks a bit like a Lego Dimensions game. What's going on here? Again, it looks kind of cumbersome. I haven't really played any of those Toys for Life game. I do have quite a few amiibo. Not that I really use them other than as figurines, but I think maybe strapping a whole toy to your controller might be a little on the too far side. Especially as I was wondering with the Switch, he was obviously showing it connected to the detached controller. But if you're playing the Switch in handheld mode, I have no idea how that
going to work. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
It's obviously going to take up half the screen. Just stick it to the middle of the screen,
exactly.
and then try and look around it somehow.
I'm sure they will have thought of these things when looking at it. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Raccoon. I mean, I was the same. I got a very No Man's Sky vibe to it at the start, especially when they started talking about Atlas. So I was like, hang on a minute.
Exactly, because that's straight out of No Man's Sky.
Definitely. In fact, one of the guys in the thread on the forum, I think it was Alvin Flummox, basically called it No Man's Skylanders, which that kind of summed up how the start of it felt. So yeah. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on it and see what they come up with. But so it could be interesting. And then they moved on to Steep. Which I think did okay for them. I don't think it set the world on fire, but I think it clearly did reasonably well. And they're saying for that there's going to be a DLC out for that on December the 5th, which is a very specific date for something so far away. And that's basically road to the Winter Olympics, which is going to add in various modes and things like that. So yeah, good for fans of Steep. Either of you guys play it? Yeah,
I'm actually a really big fan of Steep.
Cool.
I've played an absolute ton of the game, and even I was interesting to see this appear again, because I don't know if either of you watched the pre-show that Ubisoft had on beforehand.
No, I've never seen it.
No.
Yeah, so in that they already had Steep appear. They had some guys in and talked about the next load of expansions, which are coming out at the end of this month, actually, at the end of June. And I thought, they've shown this here in the pre-show. There's not going to be anything to say in the main show. Why would they? This is a game from last year. So I was really pleasantly surprised to see the Olympics content, and it's as a big fan of the game myself, it's definitely something I'm going to be picking up and playing quite a lot of. So yeah, I was really happy to see that. As a fan of the game, I know that it's probably quite niche and not going to set the world on fire, but yeah, for fans like myself, I'm very pleased.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I remember when they unveiled it last year. I remember looking at it going, that was quite a nice surprise. I mean, it's not my type of game particularly. I mean, I've never gotten on with extreme sports games or snowboarding games particularly. So it never really did anything for me. But I know there were a lot of people who are quite happy to see a game like that. Being given such a big focus at a conference. And with regards to obviously them showing off the DLC for this one, that's what I kind of like. But Ubisoft, they are quite good at kind of going, here's this game we brought out last year, here's some DLC that we're bringing out for it. I mean, because I think they did the same thing with the Division last year, where they went, right, okay, these are the upcoming map packs for the rest of the year, and they actually spent some time on it. So it is kind of good to see them doing that. If anything, I was actually quite surprised that they didn't do that for some of the games that they've released since then. They didn't do anything for Honor or Wildlands. So yeah, I mean, so to actually give Steep that kind of coverage I think is a bit of a testament to their faith in it. So yeah, I mean, I'm well chuffed for obviously people like yourself who are big fans of the game. What about you, Pedge? Did you ever play Steep?
I played the beta of Steep. When I saw the conference last year, I think I was actually on the Ubisoft Post-Mortem last year, and I said it really interested me. I was like, yeah, it looks really cool. And the beta was announced, so I took part in that, and I just thought, it looks good and stuff, but it's just not for me. So I ditched it after the beta. I never got the game. So it's great for fans of the series, of the game to get more content, but for me, it doesn't change my mind. I'm sticking to that. It's just not for me, unfortunately.
No, that's fair enough. I said not everything's going to be for everyone, but I'm glad that Steep's kind of found its niche and found its audience. So I'm definitely glad to see that that's doing well.
And I think I agree with Cheeky in that it's nice to see Ubisoft continuing to support all these games that they've kind of sold as their online service games, but they are actually sticking with them and continuing to support them as they go on, which is very nice to see that they're not just dropping ones that Steep's not. I assume it did okay for them, but I don't think it broke any records. So it's good that even though it's not their biggest game, that they're still offering that support, and that's good not just for Steep but for any other game you might run into here. Like say for Crew 2 that we saw earlier, you can imagine that's going to be in a similar situation, and if you see Steep support in this conference, I imagine that will bode well for next year seeing more Crew 2 support, etc.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and I mean, it's certainly it's great to see them doing that kind of support for the games that they've got. I mean, because Ubisoft are like any of these other big publishers. There's so many business practices that that they engage in that you look at and you go, that's a bit shit. We don't like that. I mean, Ubisoft, I will say, are really bad for their kind of pre-order stuff, where there's like 3 different versions of the game, and you pre-order this one to get this bit of content, and basically everything Jim Sterling hates. But I will say that the games that they put out I like, and are generally worth buying, and they do support them post-release with additional content and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm for the most part, I'm quite happy with Ubisoft and what they do. So yeah, so that was Steep, looking good for Raccoon there, which brought us on to Far Cry 5, which just looked really good. I mean, I said this to Peds when we were doing the kind of the live reaction to it. I'm a big fan of the Far Cry games, so it doesn't really bother me that 3 and 4 and have came out relatively recently, although it has been 2 years since 4 came out. I'm quite happy just to get more Far Cry. So for me, it doesn't need to be massively different from the last 2. It just needs to do something slightly different. So, and I think that the kind of focus on having like a crew of other people with you is going to be that focus, because from what they showed, it definitely looked like you can have AI do it with you, or you can bring in your own friends to do it as well. So that looks really, really cool. And I love the set, and I love the change. It's a little bit different from weird island cultures and their hidden ruins and all this stuff. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that, especially because it looks as over the top and crazy as ever. Pets, what about you, man? Are you a man that likes his Far Cry?
What I've played of Far Cry, I've enjoyed. Yet again, it's a game I've played and I've not finished.
You need to stop buying things.
I do. I'm like Dragon, just not quite as bad. But yeah, 5 to me looks rather interesting. It's probably something I will pick up, and it'll probably be the first Far Cry that I actually a lot of time, because it looked enjoyable, and when you've got your little team with you, it just looks like it's a bit more varied in what you can do to tackle things. Even though Far Cry is an open world game and you could tackle things in different ways, just seems like it gives you more options,
Yeah, definitely. I like the dog. The dog looked useful. I like the fact that he would, attack guys and then bring their guns over to you. That seems quite helpful.
That was
yeah. So, Raccoon, what about you? Do you like Far Cry?
Well, again, it's not a series I've played too much of, although I think we can all agree the best Far Cry game was Blood Dragon, which is amazing.
So good, that game.
But yeah, Far Cry 5 is looking good. I'm happy about 2 things, especially. One is that it's not set in a tropical jungle. I'm really glad they've moved to the US setting.
Yeah.
I think that's enough to mix the game up. I think in terms of setting it apart from the previous games. And the other one is, it's got a dog in it. And what can you say wrong about having a dog?
We love dogs. I love games with dogs in them. It's what's more to say, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, as long as it kind of, I like the open world in Far Cry. I like the weaponry that they tend to have. I like the gameplay loop that they've got. I didn't see any kind of radio towers to climb, which maybe would be a nice change. Although there was a water tower, but I don't think that counts. So yeah, as long as they can if they can just tweak it slightly so that it's not, the same basic loop as the last one, that's fine. I would like to see some changes in the co-op kind of aspect of it, with either NPCs or your friends looks to be a big factor in that. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to really looking forward to that. And I can't remember if they gave a date for that, but I'm assuming that's out fairly soon, I would imagine. So yeah, which brought us on to the last game that they showed, and which, I jokingly asked Peds if I thought we were going to see it today, not thinking for a second that we actually would. They finally showed Beyond Good and Evil 2. Just, I don't think anybody saw that coming.
No.
No. What about you, Rickon? Did you see it coming?
Sorry, no, I didn't, and I was, didn't dare to hope that we would see Beyond Good and Evil 2, and yet here we are. It exists. Well, we knew it existed, but it's been shown off, and it's still happening. And we got Michel Ancel out on stage, looking very, very pleased to be there. I'm really happy for him that he's finally got to show this off at E3. And yeah, it looks like it's taking quite a different direction to the first game. It's grown up in quite a way, but it's looks quite comical as well. But graphically, like, I know it was all CG, and it's just setting the tone of the world, but it looked absolutely fantastic. Like, I could have believed that was a film trailer if you told me.
Yeah, definitely. I was the same. I kind of looked at it and I'm thinking, I think it starts with the back, you're looking at the big pig, and I was like, is this Beyond Good and Evil 2? I was like, no, surely not. And then, there's all the swearing, and I'm kind of sitting there going, is it? Is it? And all throughout the whole thing, right up until maybe the very end when the actual name fades in, I was just like, could be, not sure. And then, it was, and I was like, oh my god, yes, please.
Yeah, I genuinely wasn't sure, and I was like, it must be. It's got, like, anthropomorphic animals. What else could it be on, like, this big budget? But I was like, but I need that confirmation, because there's just that niggling, like, is it really? And I think that's, compounded by the fact that we weren't expecting to see it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of got to the point where I was watching it going, oh my god, I hope this is, Beyond Good and Evil 2. So much so that if it had gotten to the end of that trailer and something different had came up, like a different name, I would have been like, oh, okay, what's this? But when that name came up, I was like, yes, Beyond Good and Evil 2, brilliant. So yeah, looking forward to that. I'm gonna have to replay the first one. Because it was 14 years ago since the last one. So yeah,
14 or 15, a long time.
Yeah. Plus, I think they've said it's a prequel, so it's set before the original one. And yeah, it just looks really, really good. From the trailer, obviously. I mean, we haven't seen any of the actual game yet, but looking forward to seeing more of that. Peds, what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, hurry up and get it out. I want it now. Nah, seriously though, the trailer was really, really good. And as like Raccoon said, you could mistake it for a movie trailer. But yeah, it's definitely something that I want. Yeah. And the sooner they do actually get around to finishing it, the better. But if they takes time, because they need to get it right, and it takes time. But where you were talking about things that made you think of why it could be Beyond Good and Evil 2, is I'm sure they call the little gold pig Pagey.
Yeah, I think they call him something like that, yeah.
And I was like, Page? Yeah. As in the pig?
Yeah, I think I need to go back to the trailer and watch it through about 3 more times and actually try and pay attention to everything that's there, because I think there's probably a lot to notice. I'm looking forward to seeing some breakdown videos that I'm sure people will do, where they'll be able to point out all the details that I've missed. And I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, it's going to be I think a long wait until we actually get it, because I mean they didn't even put a date on this. They didn't even say it's going to be autumn next year. They just went, it's coming. So I think this is going to be at the earliest late 2018.
Yeah, I think we're going to see this next E3 as well.
Definitely, I think this was more a kind of, it's coming, we are definitely making this, it's on its way, more than anything. I think, and I think it kind of helped them Ubisoft take what was already a decent show and turned it into this has probably been the most consistent show in the whole of the whole of E3 so far. Microsoft was a bit. EA was atrocious. Bethesda was good, but it was short and they didn't have a lot really to show other than Evil Within and Wolfenstein. Whereas this, it's just like, oh, we've got this game coming, 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 and with one or two exceptions, they all look good, and they've had the only real genuine surprises of E3 so far in Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil. So, Ubisoft knocking it out of the park, I think, with this one tonight.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely my favorite conference so far. There was some surprise. There's quite a few surprises. Even the games I didn't think I'd be interested in, like Mario and Rabbids, were interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it, and hopefully next year they do even better. All I can say is good one, Ubisoft.
Yeah, echoing the same. I normally think Ubisoft do quite well at E3. I think that's because they have the more zany approach. They don't take it so seriously. That works in their favor. But here they really delivered on giving me some games I'm really excited for. And the only thing that I'm left worried about is we're running out of games that are going to be left to people to joke about that are going to be announced at E3, because we've had The Last Guardian, we've had Shenmue, we've had Beyond Good and Evil. I think all that's left is Half-Life, and then we'll be done.
Agent? Was that not one? Was that not a Sony one?
Agent,
they used to take the piss out of what was his name every time he went on game trailers. They'd go, when's Agent coming? Which I think it was Rockstar that were working on that apparently.
Yeah.
But that's been like a decade in the making as well.
Well, maybe we'll get that later tonight. Who knows?
Maybe.
One thing that surprised me about the Ubisoft conference is Aisha Taylor.
Yeah, where was she? Maybe she was busy.
Yes, I was really disappointed to find out. I saw it was on a Eurogamer article that I saw before the show started that she wasn't going to be there, and she's been there for I don't know how many years, but she's always made the conference more enjoyable. So I was a bit disappointed she wasn't there.
Yeah, but I think she's done about 4 or 5 of them at this point. So I mean, I can't imagine that they went, no, we don't want Aisha anymore. It's probably that she probably had something else, kind of. Scheduled. So I'm imagining that's why she wasn't there. But yeah, to be fair, I don't think it really affected the conference that much. They were still able to get all their announcements out. Everything came across, fine. There was no cringy moments where you're just going, oh, come on. Everything kind of worked, and worked quite well. So yeah, hopefully she'll be back. But it was fine without it. They've still thrown out the best show so far. But like I said, we've still got Sony and Nintendo to go, so we'll see what they come up with. But yeah, so it seems as good a place as any to wrap it up. So I just want to thank you guys for joining us and taking part. It's been good talking to you, and I just want to thank everybody who's watching and listening for joining us. Make sure and come and visit us at garcade.co.uk to continue the conversation, and we will see you with the Sony press conference. Will be the next one that's up, so pay attention to the YouTube channel for that. Okay, say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from me. Take care. Bye-bye.